tons of freight by air, and 797 million passengers. Okay, a study in 2014 showed that air travelers contributed more than $771 billion to the US economy. Take that in the context of the air transportation worldwide is expected to double over the next 20 years. So aviation is vital to our economy and to our future. Let's try that. Right. So NASA ARMD has spent the last several years formulating a strategic implementation plan to ensure that aviation is more global, more sustainable, and more transformative. So analysis of global trends has led ARMD to identify 3 overarching drivers, what we call mega drivers, that will shape aeronautics research into the coming years. And so the first is global growth in demand for high-speed mobility. And this is the rapid growth in traditional measures of global demand. More people want to travel, get places faster. The second is affordability, sustainability, and energy use. If we're going to see the expected growth, we're going to need to be, it's got to be more affordable, and it's got to be more sustainable and better for the environment. And the third is technology convergence. And this really points to where we can find convergence among industry sectors that can really lead to more transformational discoveries in aeronautics. All right. So this led ARMD to develop a response to those mega drivers as to how they're going to structure the research that's going on. And we've developed 6 strategic thrusts. These are safe, efficient growth in global operations. And this really covers our next generation air transportation system, all the developments we've done in air traffic management, and the future sort of market of UAS traffic management. We have innovation in commercial supersonic aircraft, and this is really identifying a standard for low boom performance that will enable overland supersonic flight. We're also looking at ultra-efficient commercial vehicles. We've spent the last decade trying to make aircraft more efficient, cleaner, and quieter. And we want to really discover those technologies that are going to bring the efficiency up even more. The transition to alternative propulsion and energy, this really is the drop-in alternative fuels and both electric and hybrid electric propulsion technologies. Real-time system-wide safety assurance, which is really looking at systems, developing systems for safety monitoring and assurance in the national airspace system and on vehicles. And then we have assured autonomy for aviation transformation. And this really is, none of this is going to be possible without autonomy, both in the vehicle and in the airspace. It's more of a nascent and cross-cutting thrust, but we're working to develop innovative autonomy applications for aviation. All right. Then coming from our strategic thrusts, we've worked with our community and stakeholders to develop outcomes. I'm not going to go over these in detail, but we've organized them in terms of near-term, medium-term, and far-term objectives and outcomes. The near-term is really more of our partnering and demonstrations. Mid-term is more research-oriented, and far-term is really those truly transformational concepts and technologies. And so we have these for all of our thrusts. Thrust 3 is split between fixed wing and vertical lift technologies. You can see we have these for all 6. And then so we take our strategic thrusts, and then we take our outcomes, and from there we're able to define research themes and develop detailed roadmaps for the research that needs to be done to accomplish those objectives and outcomes. And that enables us to define precise technical challenges. And then we form those, we populate our programs and projects with those technical challenges. And so our technical challenges are addressed in research in 4 programs. This is the Airspace Operations and Safety Program. This again is mostly our ATM research. We want to increase the throughput and efficiency of the National Airspace System. This program also is in charge of the strategic thrusts 1 and 3. The Advanced Air Vehicles program is research on innovative concept and technologies and capabilities to advance the state-of-the-art for a wide range of air vehicles. They provide the stewardship for thrusts 2, 3, and 4, so subsonic and subsonic, supersonic, and the assured autonomy. The third program is the Integrated Aviation Systems program, and this is where we do our flight demonstrator programs and really integrated technologies to demonstrate our objectives for efficiency and throughput. The Transformative Aeronautics Concept Program is a newer program, and that really is looking at more innovative ideas, fostering innovation within NASA, and this is to look at multidisciplinary revolutionary concepts for transformation of aviation. And so it's looking to bringing in multidisciplinary, multifaceted approaches, oftentimes bringing in things from new industries to provide really those transformational concepts. And they offer right. So we put all these together. We've got our strategic thrusts. We've now developed strategic roadmaps. We have our technology challenges, and we iterate this on about a yearly basis. We take our strategic plan. We look yearly for opportunities for innovation and points of infusion for new technologies. And so these can either be updated by ideas from the program, ideas from outside, but they'll always be fed back through and then be realized in the following years either in the roadmaps for further out ideas or within existing or new tech challenges that are introduced. So this is a cyclical thing and roughly on a yearly basis, coinciding with our annual budget. Okay, this is a quick clip that we're going to show that highlights the air vehicle work we've been doing over the past few years under the Advanced Air Vehicles program and the Integrated Aviation Systems program. So we've done the research and analysis to define our more efficient, cleaner, and quieter aircraft. We've done the follow-up work testing in wind tunnels and scale demonstrations. And now the next step really is flight. And so the new Aviation Horizons Initiative was rolled out as part of our strategic implementation plan, calling for NASA to develop up to 5 X-plane demonstrators. This is in supersonic, ultra-efficient subsonics, as well as electric propulsion. And so, there we go. Maybe? Yes. There might have been audio with this, but anyway, what you're going to see is it doesn't really have any words. It may have music, so you're not missing anything. But just the various technologies that have been developed to contribute to our demonstrators. This is a hybrid wing body aircraft. This is our X-48. So just varying examples of the type of research, both scale, and this is a 757 tail that was installed in the NFAC here. Some of these technologies were demonstrated on the Boeing Eco demonstrator. A lot of it wind tunnel testing in our facilities. So the message is we're at the right place at the right time, and the next step truly is flight demonstration. And so we're all very much looking forward. It's really bringing a lot of energy for the new, our younger researchers to be able to participate in flight. The music's playing somewhere. This is our supersonic. All right. Okay, and just to put all of this in a global context, over the next 10 years, I stated earlier that our the number of passenger trips is expected to double. But right now, that's at roughly 3.3 billion passenger trips. That's expected to double to 7 billion. And you can see the inner circle is the 2014 data. The outer circle is what's expected in 2034. So it's a growing market, but what we need to realize is that it's a global market, and a lot of the growth is going to be in the Asia Pacific and new markets. And so I think what's really important there is to recognize that the responsibility lies not only within NASA, but US industries, both large and small, to develop truly revolutionary transformation of the air transportation system and the vehicles flying in it. We need far-thinking research and technology solutions, and in order to maintain leadership in this area. We're going to have a lot of competition from state-sponsored aviation manufacturers, and so we really need to pull together, and I believe you guys all can be a big part of this. So, to give you a little bit about the SBIR, from an ARMD's perspective, the goal is the overall SBIR goal, which is to solicit and select the best technical efforts that can align with NASA interests that can be accomplished by small businesses with SBIR resources and have high potential for commercialization. And again, since NASA ARMD is rarely the customer of SBIRs, it really is, what is the commercialization potential? It could be something that we use on a demonstration that is then commercialized by an external company. But we work to create subtopics that either address key technology gaps in our portfolio, things we can't do within our current structure, or things we're not yet ready to do. They may be planned for the future, but we haven't budgeted to do that. So we really want to know the specific benefits to NASA. We also want to know if there's activities that meet a future community goal that perhaps NASA's not working on. So again, we want to make sure that these tasks are appropriate for small business. So that means there's really no critical milestones, critical path for NASA to accomplish NASA objectives. But they will be complementary efforts. They will be, could be standalone efforts that can be integrated in. So we want to see that there's some sort of return on investment for the company and sort of a sustainable supply chain. So if in 5 years we want to use your technologies, you're still around to provide them. And so SBIRs and STTRs are integrated into our pipeline, and we really benefit a lot from being able to sort of cast a wide net to a lot of smaller businesses to help us accomplish our objectives. And so we do leverage both in-house and external expertise in a broad range of levels. And so we collaborate with other government agencies, academia, and industry, both large, medium, and small. Most of our external research is competition-based. So either through task order contracts, we have our NASA research announcements, which are sponsored by each program. And so that's a separate contracting mechanism, but y'all can apply for those kind of things as well. But SBIR and STTR is specifically targeted to the small business community. And so we see SBIR and STTR as an integral part of our competitive acquisition strategy. And it both serves to help us and to help the small business community with growth and expansion. So I'm going to give just a couple of highlights of success stories in ours, for very recent activities. I like to call this from SBIR to explain, because both of the examples I'm using really are present in our explain development. So SEPTR, Scalable Convergent Electric Propulsion Technology Operations Research. This aircraft project, development project, has recently got a designation as an X-plane. So this is an electric propulsion aircraft, small scale. But this, it's built on work from an SBIR company, ES Aero. They were working on non-conducting superconducting technologies, and I think the first SBIR was hydrogen-cooled superconducting generators. And they did another effort on non-superconducting technologies, which was integrated into this SEPTR concept. But this is an official X-plane and is now underway. Work's being done at Armstrong to develop and test this aircraft. So sometimes it's just a technology that's integrated into a NASA system such as this. Sometimes it's the whole aircraft. With another example is the D8. This is an N+3 aircraft design. It's got the interesting engine formation on the back is an interesting problem in boundary layer ingestion. But, this company, Aurora Flight Sciences, was mentioned yesterday on the success stories for the universal battery charger, I think. So these guys were actually doing a lot of different kind of SBIR work. They were on a NRA that was put out for the N+3, asking for revolutionary designs for aircraft. But then they were doing the aerodynamics and the design of this aircraft through a follow-on SBIR. Now they're working on design work. And this particular aircraft is one that may be considered for the future subsonic, highly efficient demonstrator. So again, success stories, but this one, a lot of their SBIR work is in a bunch of different areas. So it's when you have a technology or a specific research initiative that can be put into a larger design that eventually makes it into an X-plane. So, or may. It's not there yet. So I'm going to actually get some water, sorry. What can we expect in the near term, in the future from ARMD? So we have a long-term commitment to the New Aviation Horizons initiative, and that includes collaboration with DoD, industry, and the FAA. So it's really, we're developing these aircraft, demonstrating both locally and figuring out how they can operate in the future airspace. A big topic that has gained a lot of enthusiasm has been the unmanned aircraft systems traffic management. We're going through a series of technical demonstrations to show basic construct of airspace management for low altitude drone use. We're expanding that to beyond visual line of sight operations and then more detailed operations in, say, urban environments, things like that. So that's a multi-year demonstration project. But what we're looking at is can this construct be expanded and adopted more widely? So is it applicable to commercial airspace? Is it applicable to space, low Earth, transition kind of activities with spacecraft? So we also want to then look and see the applicability of this UAS traffic management paradigm for this emerging market that we're seeing. There's a lot of people out there developing what we call thin haul or urban taxi kind of an aircraft. So there's research aspects of making those vehicles fly, and then there's what needs to happen to be able to make them fly or enable them to fly in our airspace. You can develop them, you just can't fly them. So we're trying to figure out what aspects of the research that NASA is already doing in terms of air traffic management for, the FAA, and then for these low altitude operations, and how can we expand that and sort of facilitate this growing market. So these aren't things that are currently being planned in ARMD programs, but we're looking in to see what unique aspects of that are, where should NASA play? Where can NASA provide the most benefit to enable these new markets? Because this is really a potential new market, and we'd like to make sure that the U.S. is at the forefront of this area. So for those of you interested in this topic, Dr. Parimal Kapardekar is going to be speaking tomorrow afternoon and providing both a UTM perspective and some of this new entrance kind of detail. So Aeronautics is with you when you fly. Certainly in Jim's presentation, you saw where NASA has fit in onto the commercial aircraft that are flying today. We're going to be involved in all of the commercial aircraft flying in the future and possibly some of the private aircraft. But I would encourage you all to familiarize yourself with basic documents within ARMD. They're all available on the web. We've got our strategic implementation plan, which I spoke to, the detailed 10-year plan, which is the New Aviation Horizons Initiative. And then there are detailed NASA Aeronautics technology roadmaps. There's an aeronautics roadmap at the NASA level, but we have detailed roadmaps by thrust on the NASA website so that you can take a look and really understand what's being planned in those areas, what's out in the future, and how your companies and technologies might fit into that. And then from the SBIR website, you can look at the aeronautics research thrusts, the research areas and the topics. So A1, A2, and A3 are our topics. So that'll give you a feel. We've got about 20 plus in the air vehicles project, and we rotate those yearly, so not everyone comes up every time. But there's 2 in the integrated flight systems and 3 in the air traffic management one. So really the best thing you guys can do is educate yourselves so that you know where we're going. And then, we're hoping that we can, in this process, tweak some of those or change some of those subtopics to reflect sort of these new directions, the new markets. And you should be seeing those in the next year or so. So I think with that, that's all I got. Oh, and now I'm going to ask, are there any questions? Throw the cube.
Interest in the upcoming solicitations for VTOL type technologies?
I can't remember we don't know what's going to be cycled in. So I'll take a look at I've got a list that I didn't memorize before I got here, sorry. But there are specific subtopics for VTOL. So I can tell you whether they're going to be up or not. So behind you.
At the beginning of the presentation, you mentioned, aircraft and air traffic control towers. Mm-hmm. Do you guys have any interest also in like the airport buildings, like a terminal of the future, some of the technologies that go in airports, or that is outside your purview?
I think a lot of that is outside our purview. It really is what information is necessary to develop schedules, okay. To be able to sequence an aircraft, either okay. for takeoff to make the airport surface more efficient. So to the extent that the terminals, there will be research if some of those new transformational airframes come into play, airports may have to change. Right? Okay. So if you have a hybrid wing body aircraft, the traditional gate structure is not going to work. Yeah. So there are aspects of that. I'm not sure that we wouldn't have a specific SBIR kind of topic on that. because that's a little out of our purview, but
Okay. And just a second question, how much of your collaboration is with the FAA? Like, do you guys do your research and your studies separately in NASA and then pass it on to FAA as it goes along, or do you guys jointly fund some of your work?
There are aspects that are jointly funded, but mostly we do our independent things, but we've coordinated on various working groups. I know in the air traffic management domain, they have research transition teams where they coordinate very closely so that the products from the programs are more impedance matched to the investment deliverables the FAA needs to provide. But we've worked with the FAA on the CLEAN program and all sorts of aspects with our UAS and the NAS defining requirements for sense and avoid and detect and avoid kind of things. So we work very closely with them, but not often do we jointly fund things. Yes. Okay. Throw him the cube. Catch.
Or there's a switch I'm not sure about. If we want to work with you, I'm assuming that we'll do most of this by computer, back and forth. You're here at NASA Ames, California. We're local, we like that, but you do work all over the United States. Would we have to locate offices in Houston or wherever, or can we do everything through computers here?
As far as I can tell, you should be able to do your work wherever you are. And, you know, it's defined by the scope of your proposal, what you do, right? And so if there are necessary meetings, you need to plan for that in your proposal. So
I'm willing to go anywhere to do the meeting. I'm more concerned about linking up through the computer network. Can I, you know, would I just be locating into NASA?
Were you here for the IT security briefing yesterday? No. It depends on the scope of your research and the nature of whether you're providing anything to NASA or using anything of NASA's. So if you're completely working offline and delivering things to NASA, there's really no need to connect through our systems. You need to be able to connect to the SBIR systems to, you know, submit your proposals and things like that.
The BWB X-Plane initiative was pushed out about 5 years, and the low sonic boom demonstrator was pushed into current. Is that due to funding reasons? Why can't you do parallel paths with those? What was kind of the reasoning behind that decision, if you can answer that?
When the New Aviation Horizons initiative was pushed out, it was also submitted with a large budget attached to it, and the budget that we are planning toward right at the moment requires things to be spread out. So I think the support is still there. It's just matching the timing of activities to the planned budget. Next.
Has your directorate decided on the subtopics for the solicitation?
No, we're about to kick that process off. So over the next 2 months, I guess we're going to be working that. We've gotten feedback from the RFI, and we're hoping to reflect some of that in the new subtopics. Yes. Oh, can we take? Are there any questions online? No. Okay. So go ahead.
A lot of the examples that you gave were kind of at the system or even the aircraft.
Can you toss the catch box, please?
Fund through the aviation division, the materials or manufacturing technologies?
Yes. The simple answer is yes. Okay. In the air vehicles subtopic or topic, there are multiple subtopics on structures and materials. Okay. So you can look there, direct yourself there to try to locate things that might be applicable.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? One more. Cube.
I'm sorry, before we jump to the next question, can you repeat that question for the virtual audience so they know what you answered to?
Yes. Sorry, it was, go ahead.
The question was, are materials and manufacturing methods for materials that go into aircraft also of interest to, are they funded by the aeronautics, or is it just mostly at the system or even in the aircraft level?
Right, and I said in the air vehicles topics, there are subtopics related to materials. Yes.
Cheryl, are you guys interested in integrated systems, like to use a certain type of aircraft as a test bed for communication technologies, sensor technologies? You know, considering a Mars mission, perhaps, you know, just the aircraft as a test bed for multiple, you know, integrated technology for a particular mission.
Yeah, I can't speak to that programmatically right now, and I don't. There doesn't appear to be a subtopic that would be suitable for that particular application. That doesn't mean there wouldn't be, but not that I can point to. Yes.
You spoke briefly about the Transformative Concepts Program, and I was wondering if you could just elaborate on that a little bit more. Is that an open solicitation, or is that for NASA internal innovation only?
There's actually two aspects of it right now. There's the NASA internal, and that really is giving NASA researchers an opportunity to present new concepts, either different approaches to things that are currently going on in the mission programs, or proposing work in different areas, either farther term or just new markets kind of things. The other activity that's going on there is the University Leadership Initiative, and that really is a separate solicitation directed towards universities for same kind of things, innovative concepts, either in the tech challenges we have or tech challenges we haven't articulated, but apply to the general thrusts that we're pursuing. Okay.
Hi, yes, I had a question about the electric propulsion. I think many of the concepts are extremely interesting, but I was curious if NASA is supporting any funding for FAR 33 and FAR 25 compliance, especially of nacelles for like thrust reverse and anti-icing when you have electric propulsion systems.
I will have to check on that. I don't know specifically that answer, but I can find out.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. I think that's it. All right, thank you very much.